Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Again, sorry it's a little bit on the late side, but you know, 6 albums to go through and I'm going to try and get through them as quickly as I can does do. So let's go. We begin with a band called The Crackheads and what I think is their first album titled Split Decision. I sort of randomly came across them through a YouTube recommendation, I think, and the album cover which you've seen by now, I couldn't really find a good version of it, so that's just like taken from a YouTube thumbnail thing on Google Images. Giving it a B minus. This is a sort of solid punk rock effort. Very fast. It's only got 8 songs. It's only just over. I think it's just under 19 minutes. It's not a very long album, but it does pack in some good stuff. I do think the riffs are quite nice. I think the performances are pretty decent as well. I think the lyrics are a little bit inconsistent in terms of tone and mood, but I do think it's mostly well handled. I think the production's fine. I think my main problem might be the pacing. I don't know. It does feel like the songs aren't really given enough time to feel fleshed out, but the moments that we do get are actually pretty good, and there is still some really nice and punchy songs. I just wish I could find more about it. But you know, it is a debut, so it's not a bad first going. Next is a band that's been around for considerably longer. We have Everything Everything with their new album Mountainhead, and I initially didn't think much of this album. Okay, I did think quite highly of it. I phrased that incorrectly, but I did like it. Then I looked into the concept and I liked it a bit more. I'm still only giving it a B plus because the concept is the entire album is fucking weird. I think I should point that out. It is a post-punk effort. I think my main thing with it, and I don't know if I love or hate it. I think I lean more into the love thing, is the fact that it's a concept album about people who live in a society that they've made within a mountain, and there's like levels to it of like a mountain hierarchy, and the one we're focused on is like the lower levels, like the sort of honest, good working people, you know, and they've got to keep digging this hole for the elite higher ups. But oh no, they're digging the hole, and in the hole is a giant golden snake dragon thing that wants to eat people. And it just makes me think that they ripped off the concept that HMLTD did for their last album titled The Worm, where a giant worm was trying to murder everyone in Victorian England, or medieval England. It was something about a worm and an old ancient time, and that album was a lot better than this one. I still liked it, hence the B plus grade I'm giving it. I thought the performance was really good. I do think the songs are very unique on their own, but however, I do find a few of them to be a little bit on the bloated side. They do drag a little bit. It does feel like they're trying to take things to pad out. Also, even though it's got an interesting attempt at a concept, it doesn't really tell it well, and it feels a bit goofy at times with the lyricism, but again, it's not horrible. There is a sense of fun. The band are enjoying themselves, and the production's quite good too. It does meld in all these nice sounds. It is mostly a post-punk focus with the nice elements of alt rock, even some good sort of poppy and dancey elements from time to time, but it does have a very clear focus, and it does juggle its sounds and balance them quite well. So yeah, I do think it's really solid. I just think it could have executed the main story a little bit better. Next is one of my favourite band names ever, Mannequin Pussy, and my first album by them, titled I Got Heaven. And unfortunately, much like with one of my other favourite albums of the year, this one gets an A+, but the unfortunate thing is I can't show you the cover for this one because it's got a naked woman on it, that being the band's lead singer. But yeah, really fucking enjoyed this one. For my first Mannequin Pussy album, and I've wanted to listen to an album by them for a long time. Glad I did. This is a different sort of kettle of fish from what I understand, because usually they're focused very much more on love songs. This one has religious themes and more personal relationship themes, and I really like the route that they take with it. I think the performances are absolutely fantastic as well, especially the lead vocalist, but everyone's great on here. I love how hardcore the punk riffs are. It is more of a hardcore leaning sound, but it does still have like their signature indie punk vibe, and it meshes well. It's a good style mix. Again, performances are great. I do like the lyrical themes. I think they're executed quite well. Production's really good too. I can't remember the dude's name, but it's someone I've covered before. I think it's John Congleton or someone, and he does an absolutely fantastic job with this mix. I do think the pacing suffers a tiny little bit. It's only half an hour, but as we're going to discuss with an album a little bit down the line for this video, that's not entirely a bad thing. It's not a bad thing on here. It's just a couple of the songs are just kind of shortish punk songs, but even then they do add a little bit to the story. It just feels a bit weird how they're placed. But all in all, no, this is a fucking great album and you should definitely go and check it out. It's proper good. Next we have New Year's Day with their new album Half Black Heart, and you know, New Year's Day, very gothic leaning alternative metal / alternative rock band. I'm giving this one a C+, and it's no fault of the band at all. I think Ash Costello is a great vocalist. I think everyone else on the album is really good. This is the first one with a few returning members too, which is a thing I liked. But for the love of God, they need to not be with Century Media anymore. They need to take a break from that label. They need to break themselves off from that label, because God, there was... I think there was attempts to try and write honest songs, and, you know, the production's fine, but the pacing is very repetitive, and it doesn't really feel like there's much distinction with how the songs sound. You know, there is such a thing as too much cohesion. And the lyrics just, you know, there is an attempt at trying to be empowering and trying to get through trauma, and I appreciate that, that's a good theme, but it feels like there was way too much meddling, you know, and I think that was the thing I initially pointed out when I wrote the review for it the other day on Discord, because it's not really the band's fault, it's just there's so much, like, outside interference with this album, and it doesn't feel like an album that the band made. Which is weird, because they're the best things about the album. Again, Ash Costello, amazing vocalist. When she's allowed to really cook, she can. When she's allowed to really sing, she can. But there is so many elements of this that just fail it a little bit. Like, the riffs aren't terrible, you know, and again, I don't mind the production, but there is it's way too committee designed, it's way too safe, and it doesn't feel like a New Year's Day album. And this has been a bad relationship they've been in for about a decade now, and they really need to break off from Century Media. I think it's time. Yeah, it might be my least favourite New Year's Day album, but again, it's absolutely no fault of the band. Please, for the love of God, I'm not saying Century Media are a bad label, they've got some good bands, but, you know, that's mostly because those bands are allowed to do their own shit, and Century Media did not allow New Year's Day to do their own thing on here, so New Year's Day, on the off chance that any of you are watching, break from that label, join Epitaph maybe. Next up we have Pissed Jeans with their new album Half Divorced, and much like Mannequin Pussy, Pissed Jeans is an amazing name, and much like Mannequin Pussy, Pissed Jeans is a hardcore leading punk band, with more of a hardcore punk focus. Mannequin Pussy are definitely more indie sort of leaning. And I'm giving this one, much like the Mannequin Pussy album, an A+. And it might be my favourite album of the year so far. Oh, it's close. It's very close. I can't really think of a thing I hate about it. And I've spun it back so many times, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And it's a unique theme as well, because the term of half divorce means just, like, not wanting to be associated with the modern life that we're in right now, because it's kind of fucked. And the album is a very old, angry, surly, done with everything bastard of an album, and I fucking love it for that. It really rings through, honestly, with the lyrics especially. Performances are great, especially the lead singer Mike Corvette. It's something Corvette, and he is absolutely fantastic. There's not really a bad song on the album, much like with Mannequin Pussy's album. This one does have a few of the short songs, but they might just squeeze in so much into them, and they feel nice and fleshed out. The riff work is amazing. I like that there's more of a sludge to them. There's like, this is some of the sludgiest punk I think I've ever listened to. It's just got that really sort of dirty down-tuned thing, which I love. Really good riffs all around. The bass work especially is really solid. Yeah, just fucking great work all around. Production, very organic and just so nicely layered, and it doesn't feel like it's overly processed either. It's just that right amount of like raw production where it's not just the concrete version. It's so well handled and such a very, very smart album. And again, like, the only tiny nitpick, and it's not even that much of a nitpick, is there is a couple of short songs, and that's it. They're not even bad, they're actually fucking good. But holy hell, it's an amazing album with an amazing closing track, which I'll talk about more in the outro of the video, but fuck yeah, go and listen to this one. It's amazing. It's really, really good. And finally, we have Yard Act with their second album, Where's My Utopia? Yard Act is a band I heard about in 2022 when their debut album came out, and I quite like their debut. I like Where's My Utopia more. I'm giving it a B+. I thought it was really good. I think it was a big risk as well, because it's the band's second album, and they actually try and take a big leap because, you know, it's still got their sort of like post-punky, indie-punky sort of thing. But this one has the dance and pop elements that I thought Everything's album had. But this one incorporates them a little bit more, but still sticks to a really good core theme. I do like the lyrical theme, mostly about some political stuff, but it feels like it's got a weird tonal whiplash at times. And while I do like most of the album's construction, it does start to lose a bit of its pacing, which is no fault of the experimentation. It's just it feels like the core value of it sort of slips apart from time to time, and I'm not really sure who that's on. But you know, it's again only a small gripe, and I still like the majority of it. I think the band is still very charming, charismatic, and very smart that they took this risk as well. And most of it did pay off. You know, I think the production's really good too. I think the band's put in great performances. I like the riff work, and I like that they mix in some really interesting elements into that riff work. I do think some of the like more important parts of the album do sort of slip at some point, and also the last two songs are the wrong way around. Because the second to last song should have been the last song on the album. It just should have, because it's the best song on the album, and it doesn't end the album, and it should have. It's weird. But that aside, still a really fucking good album. If you've heard good shit about Yard Act, now might be a good time to start listening to them, because they're good. Next is the official ranking, so let's go through the ranking. We have New Year's Day with Half Black Heart, again, really no fault of the band. The Crackheads with Split Decision, Everything with Mountainhead, Yard Act with Where's My Utopia, and it is close between the top two, but I'm going to go with Mannequin Pussy with I Got Heaven, and Pissed Jeans with Half Divorced. But as always, go and listen to all of these yourself and formulate your own opinions, because that's what makes the shit that we do interesting. As for favourite song, it goes to Moving On by Pissed Jeans from Half Divorced. Amazing closing song, just very punchy with a great lyrical theme. Fucking loved it. Best album cover goes to Yard Act's Where's My Utopia, because it's a very colourful thing with a lot going on, but it doesn't really feel like it's pulling itself stretching itself too thin in a direction. It's just a really good looking album cover. That'll about do it from me though. I did point to a cheek though I do that. That'll about do it from me. Next thing you'll see me for will be tomorrow night, War of Attrition. I've got about 24 fucking hours to get a step up on sorting this Attai shit out, because I've been busy today. But I will get that done as soon as I can. And I cannot wait for that show, because the card is all arranged, and I have to give a huge shout out to my co-booker Bobby for rearranging the card to make it a lot more cohesive than what I had originally planned. It looks way, way better the way he did it, and that's the one we're going for. So, that's what we're going to do. And I'll see you all tomorrow night on my Twitch for that. And also for a reaction tomorrow to the new Set It Off song. That'll about do it. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.